in the next half hour to leave no stone left unturned when it comes to the serious business of MCR. Now, I may not look like it, but I actually operate like Paxman when I get going, and considering their vast back catalogue, I've got a lot of ground to cover. I personally have high hopes for the next half hour and a lot of questions to ask. So let's get going. My Chemical Romance have made a massive mark on the music world, selling over 10 million records, being called the voice of a generation, and having the most loyal and devoted fan base in recent times. Even after 4 critically acclaimed albums and 9 huge singles, the foursome from New Jersey show little sign of slowing down. With all this in mind, I think it's time to get down to business with 2 brothers that belong to the planet's biggest band. Guys, welcome to the show. How are you feeling today?
Awesome.
Yeah?
I feel pretty great.
Now, during a meet, we like to go back over every single detail. So I'm going to take you back to 2001.
Okay.
Remember 2001?
What do you think? We're in a time machine.
We're in the time machine now. Well, My Chemical Romance weren't around yet. You were an intern at the Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah, I had a show that was presented by Cartoon.
So what was the catalyst for starting the band?
It was 9/11. And then literally it was like 2 weeks later, I had called up our first drummer and then Ray, and it was just me playing guitar with our first drummer first, and then called Ray because I couldn't do it. And that's it.
You couldn't play and sing at the same time?
Anything like the
Complex.
sound of my cam, like which has these kind of layers and minor chords and stuff.
He's just modest. He's a really great guitar.
You were nailing it. You just went blends around.
You nailed it.
Did you have a mission statement at the beginning? Did you think, this is what I want to achieve, this is our vibe, this is the message we want to get out there?
Yeah, we can't curse on this show, right?
You can do it.
But I mean, I'm just trying to, well, because like, it sounds ignorant or something, but the basic thing was, like, that was it. Like, it was, let's get in there and like, do some damage.
Shake the cage,
yeah.
Shake the cage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love.
Okay.
What's the concept behind this album?
It has this theme of kind of like 2 lovers on the run, a truck full of ammunition.
Bonnie and Clyde vibes.
Yeah, for sure. And that was definitely the feeling of that record.
Do you want to talk about tooth abscesses?
Oh my God, yeah.
Who doesn't want to talk about that? Because you had one during the recording, right?
I did, yeah. And then I think I had to record Early Sunsets over Monroeville with it pounding, and it was a really hard record to do because most of the record I was just in a lot of pain.
Did it affect the sound of your voice at all?
It did a little because I wasn't getting any sleep.
Right.
And I'm a bit rough on that album because we only had 7 days to do it.
But I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
What's cool about it, we didn't quite know what we were doing, like I didn't know quite how to play the bass yet.
Yeah.
And, he was injured.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know how to sing either. I mean, you listen back and you're like, wow, I totally.
It's a cool, like,
the good old days.
You captured, like, like a moment in time, like lighting a bottle,
Yeah.
It's like you listen to it and you're like, that's really cool.
Written on the sleeve of your first album was unauthorized duplication is a violation of applicable laws and will result in Jared coming to your house and sucking your blood. How much blood did you have to suck?
Well, I guess back then, like, pirating wasn't that big, so it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But then there's kids that would just come up to me and be like, I totally pirated your record.
Do it, mom, and pay up.
Nothing.
Do it. Have you always been a big fan of vampires?
Yeah, because to me they're the perfect monster because they're basically us, but dead, and they have to, kind of take advantage of people to stay alive. I mean, I think that's what's really interesting about a vampire, So obviously being in your 20-somethings, I really connected with the film Trainspotting, which is obviously we get our name from that author, but because when you're in your 20s, that's how I felt. Like, even though I wasn't on heroin, you kind of feel like you're dead. And so that's, I guess, why I started to try to dress a little bit like a vampire, because that's kind of how I felt.
You refused to do the Twilight soundtrack.
We did.
Why is that?
Simply because we moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
For us,
But everybody kept thinking, oh, but you're perfect for this, and that made me more irritated. And
Right. 3 cheers for Sweet Revenge.
Right.
3 cheers for an amazing album cover. Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
Talk to me about the artwork you did.
So I'd done this sketch.
Right.
And I showed it to Jeff Aroff. At the time, he was the head of art department at Warner's, and he's a bit of a legend. So I said, well, this is what I want to look like for a photo. And he was like, and he just kind of wasn't saying anything. I'm talking, trying to sell it. About 2 minutes into me blabbing, he just goes, you know, why isn't this the cover?
Yeah.
And I was like, because it's just like a crappy drawing. I did my mom's pictures. And he goes, no, this is cover.
Do you find that My Chemical Romance help people through their angsty teenage years?
I think the music helps them, and then they do the real hard work, that whoever the listener is. But
Yeah.
definitely get that impression that.
Why
like,
is that? What is it about your music that people identify with?
I think because in the best possible way, I never stopped being that pissed off kid.
Mm-hmm.
And
True.
we never shook it. We still are.
We're still this pissed off kids.
Talk to me about being lumped in with other bands and put under the umbrella of the emo title.
Right.
Well, it meant something dramatically different when we were younger. It was
Right.
like stuff like Rites of Spring and The Promised Ring, Jimmy Eat World, and
And then there was that incident where the newspapers over here,
Right.
at least, was saying that a girl had committed suicide and it was
Right.
to do with your music. How did you feel about that?
I felt horrible, you know. And it's something that's
Yeah,
to this day like almost impossible to talk about because we felt so horrible about it. But never seen anything like that where it's trying to turn it into a nationwide epidemic. When in fact what we were saying to kids was like, you know, there's hope.
So during 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, I feel like your videos developed. Do you have a favourite at this time?
and Helena's my favorite.
Because to me that was the one, like, not okay, you could see it and you're like, all right, well that's literally what we did look like playing clubs.
Yeah.
By the time we got to Helena, it was like, wow, I feel like everything gelled. It's like, wow, that's what, now that's, at that point, that's what we were looking like too.
Yeah. What influences you when it comes to a video? Do you look at artwork? Do you look at photography?
I look a lot at film.
Do you have a favourite film?
I have a favorite film. I mean, it's The Empire Strikes Back.
It is the greatest movie of all
I
time.
feel it is the greatest film.
I watched that again at Christmas time.
What pleasant chaps. Hopefully they're going to keep being pleasant after the break. Unbelievably, it gets even better. I know, seems like we peaked, but there's some of this.
What have you got written on your arm?
How crime is doomed.
Nice. Is that a tattoo you're going to get?
And this.
A lip-syncing child. That's cool.
Oh, is that what it says?
That's what you said.
Yeah, well, that's what she is.
It's true.
Right? Isn't she a lip-syncing child?
Still to come.
Still loads more great stuff to come out of the mouths of My Chemical Romance. Can we talk about Miley Cyrus for a second?
Okay. I thought it was the most dangerous thing that a rock audience could do.
How rowdy do the audiences get?
Enough of that, let's get straight back to it.
Let's talk about the Black Parade. The whole album deals with a guy who has cancer. Why did you decide that that would be a good idea?
Why did you decide
Why the
that
hell
would
did
be
you
a
think that would
good
be a
idea?
good idea?
I felt like life and death was something that people definitely weren't talking to the culture about. They were talking about breakups, or, you know, the guys were talking about girls, the girls were talking about guys.
Yeah.
It was just boring. And I felt like, you know,
Snooze bastard.
yeah, like music should.
Let's talk about death, man. Let's go
yeah,
back.
yeah. Let's you know, let's make it, let's have fun, but let's make it say something. kids along the way when we were in Revenge doing things like Make-A-Wish, I really thought about them, and we would always think about those kids all the time. So, you know, that to me, in a way, I guess that battle with cancer is a journey in a way. So we wanted the record to feel like a journey as well.
Is it true that you had offers to turn it into a musical?
We did very early, yeah.
Do you watch Glee?
I've never watched it, just the first episode.
It's quite good to do a My Chemical Romance episode of Glee.
We love like Jane Lynch.
Yeah,
so.
she's so good.
Yeah,
She's
very
great.
funny. Very funny. Enemy described the Black Parade as an album that made you the biggest band in the world. Was there any point at which you thought, oh my God, this is it, we've done it, I'm done here?
You definitely nailed something that people don't usually pick up on, which is the I'm done here. Like, because the band, I've always felt, as being this missile, and it was supposed to kind of explode. I felt like, cool, I've said what I've had to say. So that's why it was such a challenge to move on to the next thing, because I felt like mission accomplished. So.
Mikey, in 2007, you were allowed to leave tour to get married.
Yeah.
Was it just you that went? You didn't go with him to his wedding?
No.
No, we had to backstage it
Right,
on tour.
okay.
Yeah, which is actually he as well.
You did a copycat wedding.
I copied him, yeah.
How did you arrange that?
We lined it up with, you know, one of the last stops was in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
the tour, and we were like, you know, because we didn't want like a traditional wedding. Like that stuff always freaks me out. Like I don't like being put on the spot or anything. And then
What did you wear?
I wore my stage clothes. I wore my stage clothes. Yeah, I still have my suit on.
Like Black Parade stage?
No, the like we had like.
At the time we were wearing suits.
Yeah, we had when we did the Black Parade set. We'd leave and come back out, and I wore my blazer.
Oh,
I wore it during the encore. I wore my blazer.
What did your wife wear? You can't remember.
Black dress.
Let's talk about Danger Days.
Okay.
What's the concept behind this album?
It is basically a transmission from a pirate radio station in 2019 that kind of, you know, stands against this corporation that gives people medication, and that's, you know, it's very, very basic, and there's characters.
That seems quite complicated.
It does
It's
it?
very basic, Alexa.
Yeah.
And was it deliberately more upbeat? Because it sounds quite...
It was upbeat because I think we needed that. We needed color. We needed a party.